problem because the people who get Social Security checks vote. And the minute you talk about reducing the benefits, they're going to vote you out. Well, I'm talking about that because we have to reduce these benefits. Now, there certainly are people who unfortunately completely depend on Social Security. They need it to live. It wouldn't be that way if the government hadn't taxed them to death when they were young and working. They would have saved for their own retirement. Instead, the government took their money and didn't save a quarter because it was all spent. Social Security didn't save anything. Nothing was invested. Whatever money people paid in is gone. Right. The money that's being paid out now is coming from the people in this room who are still working. Right. But there's going to be nothing left for us when we go to retire because there isn't there's no more chain left in the chain letter. So we got to try to protect the benefits from the people who unfortunately really need it. But there are a lot of people who are getting Social Security benefits that are a lot richer than the people who are paying the taxes. We can do something about the retirement age. Obviously, people don't need to retire at 65, especially when there's no money to pay for it. I mean, the government has committed American taxpayers to obligations that they can't afford. And if we don't do something, we're not going to have anybody to tax because the young people are going to leave. I mean, they can go to another country where the taxes aren't so high, where the regulations aren't so high. And I think if we don't do something about Social Security right now, in a few years, it's not going to matter because the dollar is going to collapse. And the politicians want to make sure that everybody gets their Social Security benefits. But what they're not going to be able to guarantee is the benefits buy you anything. If they destroy the value of the dollar, the Social Security payments are worthless. And so I think that making serious reductions in Social Security now is the only way to save it. If we don't do that, then it's going to be nothing. And we've got to find a way to get out of this system. I don't want younger people paying into Social Security. I want them saving for their own retirement. They can't do that now because we're taxing them so much. And the thing is, we need more savings in this country because savings is why economies grow. You don't grow an economy by spending. You grow it because you don't spend. Because savings is what finances capital and new businesses. So we want Americans saving for the future. We don't want them dependent on some Ponzi scheme where nothing is saved. Yes.
I'm on the leading edge of the baby boom generation. And I've been working since I was 16, paying my Social Security taxes. Now that I'm close to the point where I'm about ready to draw them, where people are talking about cutting them. And what doesn't come up in the conversation is that the government has squandered Social Security payments for decades, raiding that money that should have been set aside to make those payments. So now you've got now everybody's in panic because they can see the demographics and that surge coming, and they don't know where the money's going to come from. But this problem wasn't a surprise. It's been coming for decades.
Of course, but the politicians have refused to deal with it because they didn't want to deal with it politically. So they want to pretend. See, politicians never act to avert a crisis. That's why they didn't act to avert the housing bubble or the NASDAQ bubble. They always want to wait till the crisis happens because for them, the crisis is not getting reelected. So they don't care about a problem now. They're just going to deal with it after the next election. I don't want to do that. We can't just keep trading short-term gain for long-term pain. We have to deal with these problems. And I certainly, feel, people have been paying Social Security tax all their lives, and they're expecting these benefits. But there were people that were that invested with Bernie Madoff for a long time, and were expecting a lot of benefits, and they didn't get them because they were scammed. They fell for a con. Unfortunately, the United States government has perpetrated a huge swindle on the American public. But you know what? There's nothing we can do about it now. We have to deal with the reality of the situation. And we can't keep pretending it works by trying to enslave another generation of Americans and say, well, you're going to have to pay enormous Social Security taxes so that people who are retiring today can get some benefits. Meanwhile, the people who are working are going to get nothing. And if we tax them too much, they're not going to stay here. And of course, if we raise these taxes, we're not going to have an economy. We're not going to have any jobs. We're not going to have any production. So we have to reform the system and acknowledge that it was bad. We can't keep hiding behind the politics of it. They made a mistake. Medicare was a mistake. I don't care how many people think it's a great program because they get checks from the government. We never should have enacted it. It was a colossal failure. If you go back and look at when they proposed Medicare, that we're actually spending well in excess of 10 times a year what they told us it would cost, even adjusted for inflation. And Medicare has an unfunded liability of $30 trillion. It's even less sound than Social Security. It was a bigger disaster. And the irony of it is, the government said they did just such a good job with Medicare, now they want to socialize the rest of health care. We've got to acknowledge these problems. If we don't, if politicians are going to try to pretend that they can keep these promises, that nobody has to give up anything, then everybody's going to give up everything, because they will completely destroy the economy, they will destroy the currency, and none of these benefits are going to have any value.
Peter, let me thank you. We're going to wrap it up. We've got some other things to get through. We certainly appreciate you being here tonight. If Peter's information, we're going to leave some information in the back on how to contact Peter. You guys got all your
I'm
information
on, you can go to my website for schiffforsenate.com, email me at pschiff@schiffforsenate.com, or, come down and visit the headquarters. It's in Milford. Meet some of the guys we need. We're getting a lot of volunteers, but if you want to help with the campaign, if you want to volunteer, you want to make a contribution, anything that you want to do, if you want to help me get elected, would be appreciated.
Okay. Thanks, Peter.